Hello and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 52. It is already the 22nd. Am I seeing that right? The 22nd of February? Man, February is almost over already.
Yes, sir.
I am Jeff Waugh. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Sean. Sean, how are you, man?
I'm good. Today being the 22nd of February means that it is the 46th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, where the U.S. Olympic team won the gold medal at Lake Placid. It also happens to be the evening of today, where the U.S. Olympic team won. Actually, I mean, I know a lot of our listeners aren't going to care about one of these, but the men's and women's both beat Canada for gold.
That's right.
But it was a complete sweep. It was pretty cool, man.
Beat them at their own game.
That's right.
And, how many Americans even watch hockey? And we're going to go into Canada and we're going to beat them at their own game. I love it. American exceptionalism. We are truly the best.
Yeah, it was really all Canada had going for them. Like that was like Justin Trudeau's thing. Like he was like, "You're not winning our sport. You're not taking our country, or whatever." Well, yeah, we are.
Well, you can never make us into the 51st state because we got hockey or something.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, how's that working out for you?
So yeah, we first time in 46 years, man. It was really cool. I was up 7 a.m. Watching it, and it was really cool to watch, man. My wife was laughing at me from the other room because I was like, "Yo!" Ah! Like, it was great. It's great stuff. Great visuals, great aesthetics. I was talking with some guys today and showing there's a picture. Maybe I can get a smidge of it up here. I don't.
Oh, is this one that you dropped in the group chat?
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but like that's just, look at that, man. So you can't really see the detail, but he's missing.
He's missing a couple teeth there.
Some, like parts of teeth. He got hit with a high stick, like right in the third period, and then it went into overtime, and he scored the winning goal. So he was just like looking like a mess in the post-game interviews. He's all bloodied mouth and all that. Like, it's good stuff, man. It was a good day. President called him. They were all answering the calls. It's funny, like, of course, all the reporters are like, "Oh, we heard Trump." Not we heard the president of the United States called you, but it was we heard Trump called you, and and like, what'd you guys think of that? And they were all just like, "I love America. It's the greatest country in the world." Like, oh, dude, reporters were so upset. But look at that, man. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that is that is gnarly, man. That is, he's gonna. I mean, that's chipped in half. I mean, he's going to carry that for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah.
But he seems pretty stoked. Pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Threw his helmet in the crowd. It was
And for those of you who are not in the group chat, what he said accompanying this photo, he says, "Does any sport have better aesthetics than hockey?" And it's just, when it comes to just raw human vitality, it really is hard to get any better than hockey. It really is. I'm not a sports guy. I don't watch the sports much, but hockey has a fond place in my heart because it's just so masculine. It's just so unashamedly, undefeated in its masculinity. And I used to like that about football, but they've become quite gay recently.
Yeah, the NFL has become insanely gay. Like they had an ad
self-consciously,
where it literally said "football is gay."
Yeah,
like that was their ad with rainbow colors. Football is gay. Like, well, yeah, it is now.
Now that you mention it, yeah. What are we supposed to do with something like that?
Yeah, stop watching. That's what I did.
Yeah,
I didn't watch much this year.
I mean, I never did watch much to start with, but I definitely stopped watching for that. But
the other thing to talk about before we actually get into the topic at hand, I am back on Twitter. with my old handle. So essentially what happened was I deleted it. And if you come back within 30 days, you can like reignite the account like nothing happened. I was out for a good reason, and it was more than 30 days. And so but when I came back today, my old handle was still available. Not shocked by that. It's Sean Russell Book. It's the one I was using for a couple years before.
Link is in the description.
Yeah, starting over on the friends list. So if you see that, you can follow. Because I'm starting from scratch, and I know a lot of guys have been. Well, probably a handful of guys have been like, dude, you need to get back on there. I know our buddy Ethan was always like, you got to get back on, man. I miss you. So
you've always got some gems to drop. So I've always enjoyed giving you a follow because your commentary is just really good. One of the things too that I think was very quite shameful about the whole thing is that you had way more followers than I did.
Oh,
and
dude!
Then you just walked away. You just dropped it and walked off, just like, nah, I can take or leave it. And here I am, with my at the time 300 followers, just crying in a corner, like, no, Sean, don't do that.
Well, that's a big reason I had to come back, of course, is because you're like the worst advertiser for the podcast.
I am.
So
yeah,
start this one.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, I'm afraid. But a little more housekeeping before we let go. It is episode 52. So, that is 1 year's worth of podcasting. Of course, we took a couple weeks off here and there, for Christmas and Easter and a few things that came up in our personal lives. But this is not the calendar year, but this is the 52nd episode. And so going forward from this point, we're going to have a new theme. And we're going to rework some of the photos. We're going to try to professionalize this a little bit. So if you want to show some support, give us a like, give us a comment, share the video. If you're watching right now, share it on your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever you happen to be. Get some people, get some people's eyes on this, and let us know in the comments what you think we could do to improve the show in the coming weeks and months ahead. But man, it has been quite a ride, and we're still. We're rearing to go. I've got some things in the works, trying to talk to some people about some official other kind of side projects that we might get going. And Sean's got some side projects that he might be interested in doing as well. Just wouldn't be the for future generations weekly show, but it would be things that we throw in there just to keep eyes on us, to keep attention, and to provide value for the people who come here. And last bit of housekeeping: if you are a weekly or a monthly supporter at either the brother or father level, just to let you know, this is the last Sunday of February, and we always do on the last Sunday of the month, or on the last show of the month, we always do a show for our brother members. If you are a brother member, we will be posting a link in the chat. We will be inviting you to the after show, where we will be having some fun, looking at some stuff. And we always have a good time in the after show. So if you want to join that, become a supporter of the show at buymeacoffee.com/4futuregenerations. Link is in the description. With that being said, Quentin Deranque. Sean, have you ever heard of this guy? Did you? Where did you first hear of this?
Not until very recently. Didn't this story only happen?
Well, this story happened on Thursday, which was good for me because I did not have a great plan for the show. But at what cost? At the cost of the life of some young man. But here's what he looks like. This young man is Quentin Deranque. He was a 23-year-old French conservative. I will not call him right-wing because French right-wing and American right-wing are not even close to the same. but conservative. And what happened to him is on Thursday, he was murdered. And there is video of the encounter where he was beaten to death in the streets. I don't particularly think we want to show that because it is quite brutal. What's going on is some French grandma has stuck her face out of the window and she's looking down on a crowd of young men who are viciously kicking and beating this. He is stuck on the ground, surrounded by these people, just being absolutely. I mean, he's being murdered. And he later dies of his wounds. But he dies on Saturday. So that would have been yesterday. Yesterday morning is when he died. But the vicious beating, the video made its rounds on Twitter. That's where I first saw it. And here's an interesting thing, which is what kind of coverage are we getting? BBC, 9 arrested in France over death of far-right student. So first off, he's a far-right student. So they're letting you know, don't be upset about this. Don't actually get upset about this. You can let this go. It's not important. He was a bad guy, right? We're going to signal the friend-enemy distinction. He's bad. So it's okay that he got murdered. So we're not going to call it a murder. We're going to call it a death. Yeah. Notice it's just passive right there. Nobody killed him. He just died. Sean, have you ever heard of that? Where somebody's just walking along and a bunch of people stand around him, and then he suddenly dies of a heart. Right?
Yeah, I think we started hearing about that around 2020.
Oh, hold on. Don't say that. Stop it. Bad boy. Down.
Hey, you're cutting out every once in a while. I don't know if something's going on.
Am I? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that...
Little words here and there.
I hope my microphone is all right. There have been a lot of things being moved. But... anyhow, let me know if that gets worse. But also, notice it's the death of passive voice, far-right student. And, you can see people, it's always makes me feel old whenever I see this. 2003, he was 23 years old. He was a young man, but he was full grown, and he was born in the 2000s. Quite strange. But 9 have been arrested in France following an investigation into the murder of a far-right nationalist student by suspected militants from the far left. Those detained included a parliamentary assistant for a deputy from the radical left France Unbowed Party, the LFI.
Now, notice how they not only distance the victim from the reader, but they also distance the attackers from the person reading. Like, hey, left-wing BBC reader, we know that you are not like these far left people. You're just the normal left people, and this guy was far right. And so they kind of make it like, oh, it was a gang war. It was gang violence, right?
Right.
Like it wasn't like normal political violence. This is like crazy people that you and I aren't part of. That's how they minimize it. Because at any time it's anyone right of Karl Marx who kills somebody, it's, oh man, these Republicans are doing whatever. I mean, I know this isn't France, but in America it would just be, oh, a Republican killed a bunch of normal centrist people. Like, that's how it always is. So just thought I'd note that BBC is not the objective source that it once was.
Yeah. Also notice this paragraph here. It happened after a small demonstration by far-right feminists who Deranque was supposed to be helping protect at the city's Institute of Political Studies, commonly known as Sciences Po. So first off, Deranque is this young man. He's a conservative, and he was see this group of young ladies here. This is a French far-right feminist. Sean, have you ever heard of a far-right feminist?
No, I was also trying to figure out what that meant.
Yeah, so far-right and feminist are two things that do not go together, but they consider themselves right-wing feminists, and they fight for women's rights, which currently means get rid of the foreigners who are being pervy on all the women. And because they have those positions, because they're going out in public telling these people, hey, let's stop letting foreigners molest our women in public, they are being attacked by left-wingers, and they need men to protect them. Isn't it strange how women who are fighting for their rights need men to protect them? It's almost like it kind of puts the lie to the whole thing in the first place.
I guess that's another big distinction. Like, I guess feminist means something very different in French politics. Like, or are they just being silly? Like, which one is it?
Yeah. No, I think they consider themselves feminist. Okay. And they probably are. I mean, they want women to vote. They want women to work outside the home. They're probably pro-birth control, pro-abortion, all of those things. They might not be on the last one, but I would be very surprised if they are not. They are, after all, French.
But they are far right because they don't want to be...
But they're far right because they want France to be a country. Because they want there to be borders, because they don't want everybody just coming in. And so they held a demonstration, which is just them showing up with a microphone and saying things at a public forum. And Deranque was there to protect them, just a young man to stand in between them and the outside world. And for his troubles, he was followed home. He was attacked. He was thrown to the ground, and he was beaten ultimately to death. He died 2 days later, yesterday, early morning, which for us would have been Friday night, but Saturday or, well, I guess it would have been later. Sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. It would have been later. But anyway, Saturday morning, French time, whatever that is in U.S. time. But yeah, these are the right-wing women that he was protecting. And, here is the image that was shared. His family shared this photograph of him. And then, Voix Europa Herald or Vox Europa. That's strange. Websites always are strange, but VOXEUR also spells voyeur, which is for French for, I believe, spying on people. So if you think there might be feds in your group, French guys, maybe check into that. But VoxEuropaHerald.com, and they have an article about this. But interesting, the reactions to this. So these young ladies were being protected. He was followed home. He was killed in the streets. And what are the responses? Jean-Luc Mélenchon says, and he is a French politician. He says, quote, "The unbowed demand the dissolution of the dangerous Nemesis group," that's the name of these young ladies' group, "because it attacks us." So he says the Nemesis group is dangerous and needs to be dissolved. Here he is. But yeah, so the solution to this is you can't go outside in public without being attacked and your supporters murdered in the streets. Therefore, we're going to come out. We, this minor party, are going to come out and demand for your dissolution because, our people attacked you. And I know it sounds strange for me to say our people attacked you, but we'll touch back on that later. So one more thing
I've got to say, it's really strange. Like when you said, as an American, when you hear Jean-Luc, you always think of Star
Jean-Luc
Trek.
Picard. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last movie with Picard was Nemesis. So it was Star
That
Trek
is
Nemesis.
strange.
So I was
Is
looking
this
at
a
this, I was like, wow,
Simpsons situation where,
Yeah, Simpsons called it kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, they're predicting the future. But yeah, so we haven't seen much. Now, I don't follow the American news, and it did happen over the weekend. So perhaps tomorrow morning we'll see more about this on the news. But it's not hitting the American news much, which is not a surprise because we don't care, frankly. But I'm going to try to make you care because some of this this is very important, I think. Yeah, you have this young man who is murdered in public. Unlike Charlie Kirk, he is not, famous. He's just a normal guy. He's a student at college. He's studying, trying to make something of himself, and he is attacked viciously and openly, attacked and murdered in the streets. And the response, I think, is very important. The response from both right and left. So first off, we did see how, Mélenchon says, you need to disband. When asked about the subject, President or Trudeau, I don't think he's actually technically the president. I believe he's a prime minister. They have both over there, and they do different things. But not Trudeau.
Yeah, that's
sorry. I'm very, very tired right now. What is Prime Minister of France?
Now you're making me look like an American.
He's the guy that married the old woman that.
Yeah.
Macron.
There you go.
So
they gave photographic evidence of being a woman.
Yeah, that Candace thinks is a man. But when asked about this, Macron gave a response where he said some things in English, and they didn't actually make sense in English, which may have been intentional, a way of kind of dodging the subject. But I didn't put it in here just because it was, you couldn't make hide nor hair of what he was saying. It was just a lot of political gobbledygook. But the French are getting out, and they're putting up posters. I mean, this was quick. I mean, here we've got posters in an underpass just on every single pillar, his face going up. And here we have in Italy, the Italians are marching through the street. Political retribution from the left, which they have every right to believe. Something I didn't put in the show right now, but you'll see this man who throws his hands up like so. They're doing some sort of hands up type thing for him. He was, I believe there's some sort of religious significance to it. He was a Catholic. And, but here we have in Poland, let me take the sound. Yep. Justice pour Quentin, and this is people demonstrating in Poland, showing solidarity. People marching in the streets with political and Christian heraldry. This is getting some play. People are noticing. People are getting out, and they're actually protesting, making their voices heard. Here is a demonstration in France. They sung the Cavalcade, which has the quote, "Pray to the God of cavalcades to place my comrade at the right hand of Jesus." So this is a religious demonstration. These people are not just gay European atheists. They are making their voices heard in a religious and a political context. You see the Cairo on the banner they have there. And there's been some, the media trying to spin things like they always do. They've been taking the Cairo there and saying that this is actually an anti-Semitic and Islamophobic symbol. The Cairo, which predates Islam, by a decent amount. Cairo, which doesn't have anything to do with Judaism. It is a Christian symbol that arose during persecution by Roman pagans who the Christians conquered. They converted them by the message of hope and Christianity itself, not by the sword, but by simply existing in the society and being the witness to them. That was the conquest of the Cairo in Rome. But they also have been taking pictures of the men with their hands up like this and moving cropping the photo so you don't see that the hands all belong to one person, because if you do that, it looks like a Roman salute. And then posting pictures and saying, oh, actually, these people are just a bunch of Nazis. And there have been people counter-protesting as well. Death of Quentin Deranque, an anti-fascist counter-demonstration underway in Rennes.
Oui, vous l'avez dit, c'est en train de se tendre.
And these people are...
What are they? It's always amazing to me when I see something like this where they're talking about, oh, we're counter-demonstrating that you killed somebody. And
yeah. So we killed somebody that was your guy, and now we're going to come in and we're going to counter-protest you complaining about the fact that you're getting murdered.
Yeah, that's insane.
And you see a lot of these people, a lot of very unfit young people. That's the thing that I notice is there's not a lot of old people. It's mostly just a lot of young, spoiled, unfit people. We have here also, this is a mural put up to respect the death of the young Deranque. And we have Andy No here. He says, in Paris, far-left activists tear down memorial posters for Quentin Deranque, the young man beaten to death by Antifa militants in Lyon. He suffered a brain hemorrhage after being jumped. He had volunteered to protect an anti-mass migration women's group. And here's this guy. And he is saying, I support his death. Right? I support his murder. That is what he is shouting in French there. I support his murder. I support the death of Quentin Deranque. Right? And he's fussing at these people who are trying to stop him. No, I support the murder of this man. Here you are, telling us that you're respecting and honoring the memory of a man who was walking through the street on his way home after a sanctioned, legitimate protest and attacked by a group of people. Not a one-on-one fight that went wrong, right? This was a man who was viciously attacked and murdered on his way home by a group of people. And then the people that were attacked now are being defamed as neo-Nazis. They're evil people. Here's Pierre Sautrel. He says, one is described as neo-Nazi demonstration, the other as a social movement. Will you be able to tell the difference? And on the left, you've got a bunch of well-dressed, polite citizens, not breaking the law, not making a mess of anything. And on the right, you've got this mob of ethnically ambiguous people, all in black clothing, dirty clothing, carrying weapons, carrying smoke bombs, masking their face because they're about to commit crime, wearing Islamic head garb, by the way. That's what that is. This is not, this is the mob, but it's not the mob of Paris. All right, this is the world come to Paris. This is the world come to France and oppressing the French people. These people are not French. I mean, some of them are, and we'll get on to who some of these people are. But you've got this ethnically ambiguous mob of violent young men, dirty, violent young men, who are threatening to attack the people who are meeting at a vigil to remember their murdered brother. And they already know, all right, they're meeting at a vigil of a man who was murdered in public. And these people are coming up and saying, yeah, we support the murder, and threatening carrying smoke bombs and weapons, walking around with weapons. Here is a video of these people mocking. And this sexually ambiguous youth here has a knife in his or her sleeve. Right? Now, here in the United States, a knife being carried around like that wouldn't excite so much attention. But in France, it is illegal to carry that. That is considered a weapon, and that is illegal. This person is coming to this vigil, taunting people, waving middle fingers, shouting down at people, mocking them, and flashing weapons. All right, we are in an open war here. You know, war has come upon you, whether you would risk it or not. So here they are, waving middle fingers and clapping. So, you know, what are we supposed to make of this? What are we supposed to think when we see this? I mean, this is open war. We've murdered your man in the street, and now we're laughing at you about it. Now we're mocking you about it. Now we're making fun of you. What are we supposed to do here?
You know, I think what makes this so similar to the Charlie Kirk assassination is really the reaction after the fact. As you said, like this young man in France was not famous before this. And but if you still believe that there is a moral high ground that anyone left of center has, you're insane. After the victory lap that they've been doing ever since Charlie Kirk's death, it's just been insane. I mean, I don't know if many of you are just too insulated to have seen it, but there's who's that? I was about to say who's that Jew I hate, but that doesn't really say much. Pavlovitz something. You're muted. I want to say it's John Pavlovitz or something like that. Does that sound familiar?
That is certainly a person.
He's this guy that's like impossibly skinny. He's just like a skeleton. But he was posting something, I seen it getting shared, where it was just like, it was basically like a I am not Charlie Kirk type thing. Like, like, or, you know, people that are just like, oh, Erica Kirk isn't, that's his wife's name, right? Erica?
Yeah.
Erica Kirk isn't grieving in the right way. And she's trying to keep his legacy going, because that's what Charlie Kirk was about. He's about rallying people.
Right.
That was what he wanted to be, and that's who he was. And that's what she wants to continue, his legacy. But they don't like that because she didn't just cower into a corner. I saw people doing like AI of Erica Kirk in the position that Charlie was in after he got shot. I mean, there was anyone who's seen it, like that image is burned in your brain. And it was just that AI of her being shot in the neck. It's just
and I mean, we covered it on this show too. People posting things about, okay, now we need to get his kids, right? His children, his infant children, saying, okay, next we need to kill his infant children. Yeah, that's who we're up against. I mean, it's not too much for us to point out that these people want to murder you. They want to murder you. They want to murder your children, and it goes back to the Sam Hyde tweet, right? I mean, I reposted it today, and I can't find it in the show notes now, but
yeah, they want you dead. They want your children raped and murdered, and they think it's funny.
They think it's funny. Yeah, it's. I mean, and there's an important first part to that sentence, though. It's when we win, do not forget that these people want you broke, dead, your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny. There is going to be a day of vengeance, and it's not going to look pretty.
Yeah, I would say a big turning point for me. I think for everyone really was 2020. Like 2020 was just such a massive year. I remember there being a funny, like that was around the time that the Papa John's guy got caught Schneider. Being a hard R superstar. And he wasn't. He got trapped into it. And then he got removed from the leadership of the restaurant. Yeah. Anyways, he was there was some interview where he was saying like, well, I've done a lot of work to try to say it less. I've tried really hard to say that word less, and people were like, "Oh, what do you mean? Just stop saying it, right?" And a comment was like, "In fairness, 2020 was a really hard year to stop." It was just that bad, dude. Like I've saw people become fatigued that I would have never thought in a million years, but boy, the eternal weight of the fatigue on our shoulders during that time. And for me, a big breaking point was I was doing security downtown in Fort Worth at the time, and they were marching their crap down the street, and our boss is like, our the first floor of our building is glass, so if they really wanted to get in, they could get in. But they're doing their little march and all that, and kudos to the Fort Worth PD that basically when they tried to get on the freeway, they were like, nah, that's not happening. They blocked them in and all that. But just seeing all those people just shouting, doing their little hooting and hollering and all that, I was like, you know what? I could do without these people in my country. And it was all, it was all colors of the rainbow. All, there was the what is the awful? Is that the acronym? Yeah. The affluent white female liberal, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of those.
Probably unemployed liberal.
Yeah.
Affluent white female unemployed liberal. Yeah.
Yeah. All that to say, the reason that Sam Hyde quote is so important and valuable is that you do have to look at it as like, when we win, don't forget what they wanted it to look like if they were to win. Like you right. have to remember that if you play nice after we win, then your children's children are going to have to fight the same battle over and over again. I think 2020 was that meme where it's the political compass and there's the like, don't tread on me snake in that bottom right. The like kind of, what would you call that? Like liberal right or something like what? The libertarian.
Yeah. Right-wing libertarianism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it was like the snake in that. And then, it gets attacked, whatever, and it rises up into the right-wing authoritarian quadrant. I'll have to find the meme.
Right.
It's a good illustration.
I remember seeing this years and years ago. And at the time I was kind of a dumb libertarian. I was like, oh, it's not really like that. And then I became more right-wing and I said, actually it is like that. And now I'm a little older and wiser. I'm like, man, I wish it was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it is, Charlie Kirk was such an awakening moment because we had the power, right? We had the power, we had the momentum, the world was on our side, and we could have gone in and taken out the enemies of our civilization. It was all the pretense we needed, and it was justified. It's been completely justified the entire time. And it was just a moment where everybody knew that it couldn't be argued. This is unconscionable that this would be allowed to happen, that this would be supported by some people in our society. And the fact that nothing happened, that nothing ever happens, is just so depressing, because we had the opportunity to do something. We had the right to do something, and we had public support. Trump said he was going to do things, and what happened? Well, what did happen is Trump came out and said, okay, from now on, we're going to call Antifa a terrorist organization. Were there any arrests? No arrests. Were there any, suspensions? Were people fired from their political occupations? Were people removed from places of authority inside of politics? No, none of that ever happened. Nothing happened. And
on that note, have you voted? Have you early voted for the primary?
I have not. I'm going to have to do that.
I did today. So today was the last day of early voting. So you're gonna have to wait till March 3rd,
okay.
I think it is. But
I don't typically early vote anyway. But I have a list of people that I was trying to whip the candidacy for. But,
I had a couple of people that I was rooting for, but it was like a 47 vote thing. Like it took two voting.
There's a lot of people.
It was it was that, and then it was there were a lot of propositions that were being put out, and one of them, and this is the reason I brought this up. One of them was worded in a really interesting way, and it said like, Republicans that are in charge at the state level should not be able to instate Democrats into these other positions, right? So basically what they were saying is, guys, we have this mandate, we keep getting voted in, and then we try to play nice, we try to play footsie with the other side.
When we're in power, we try to be, reaching across the aisle. We're working with the other side. We're the people who, you can trust us because we're plain, normal, understanding. And, when Democrats get in, they shut it all down. They're like, nope, no Republicans. So in Texas, what we've been having a lot of is inside the Senate, inside the Texas House, we have been having people appointed to be heads over committees and groups and talking about different things that, we have authority to select what bills get forward, what bills get seen on the floor. And Republicans have been in control of the House forever. I mean, practically my whole life. And yet, for some reason, they keep appointing Democrats to be committee chairs and to be on committees in charge of what bills go forward. And so now they're trying to legislate, hey, you may not appoint Democrats because it's such a problem. The Republican Party has such a problem that they're having to legislate to make their own members follow what is standard, self-seeking survival in politics. I mean, we as a people are just entirely suicidal. But
I don't get it. Like it's just, it doesn't make sense to do that. Obviously, right? It's not preserving anything. It's not showing them that we can, that we can cross the aisle and we could all be friends and we could work together, right, for a common thing. There is no common thing. I don't know where people. I mean, I guess historically I understand what people mean by that, but today in 2026. There is no common ground between the left and the right.
Where's the common ground with this?
Yeah.
Where is the common ground with people laughing and mocking your death and saying, we want more of this. We killed you, we got away with it, and we want to do it again. Where's the common ground with that? There is no common ground with that. You cannot make common ground with people who want to kill you. So unlike Charlie Kirk, it's good to see that this is kind of taking off. I mean, we saw with Charlie Kirk, we saw a lot of passion right at the beginning, a lot of people talking about it. We had some stupid gay song about "We Are Charlie Kirk" that I hear every time anybody mentions him, and I hate it. I hate everything about that stupid song because it's empty. It means nothing. Nothing is being done. But here, we have people getting out in vigils in Europe, places where this is much less common. And I'm just hoping that this actually goes somewhere. Roig Nationalist, if you don't follow him, give him a follow. He says, I can't think of another Western European nation except maybe Italy where this would be possible. And referencing this video here where 400 nationalists gather in France outside of an Antifa bar. So they're gathering.
Do you have context on what an Antifa bar is? What?
So in Europe, and this does happen here, but it's much more common for businesses, especially places like cafes. We see this here too, where it's like you where the blue hairs go to get their coffee, right? You know which cafes they go to versus the ones that the blue collar workers go to.
But so they're saying that it's a place frequented by Antifa.
Probably at least that. Probably more than that. Probably a place that is owned by someone who is expressly pro-Antifa, posts posters on the wall, has, Antifa stuff hanging in the windows, things along those lines. Because these gathering places arise spontaneously. You will have people who virtue signal, at least that's the mildest form of it, versus people who are just activists, who utilize their places of business as an activism hub. But here they are outside this bar and making noise, chanting, burning torches, and using threatening language. So 400 people, that's a pretty decent gathering. So very, very atypical. We didn't see this with Charlie Kirk. Everybody came out and they were like, oh, let's all be peaceful. Let's follow the law. Let's be kind. Let's be the fruity people that we are. But as bad as it gets, go ahead.
It's the "we're so above it all" thing that I was just talking about. But it's so like where these guys are coming out, they're saying, we know you don't like us, but we are going to show you our power. We're going to show you our numbers. Right. We're going to show you some force. The "We Are Charlie Kirk" thing is like, please feel sorry for us. They don't feel sorry for us. That's why they killed Charlie Kirk, because they don't feel sorry for him.
They don't feel sorry for his children who will grow up fatherless.
Yeah, they don't care. Mm-hmm. Even when I had told people, people who I knew are liberals, I was like, a family lost their patriarch, right? Like if someone murdered your father, it doesn't matter what
justification he had. Yeah.
There's no justification that's going to make you say like, well, maybe my dad was asking for it. Oh no. There is nobody does that. Right. I don't do that with my own. I've told reasons why I have been estranged from my mother from time to time, but I wouldn't even do that with my own mother. Like if someone killed her, I wouldn't be like, well, she got what was coming to her. Like nobody does that with. So it's just they don't understand. It's funny because for all the talk of empathy, right? Like that's by the way, have you noticed that nobody says sympathy anymore? That used to be the word. right? Growing up, in fact, I had never heard the word empathy until later in life. Everyone just said sympathy, but they meant the same thing
Yeah.
in their mind. That's what they meant. But for all this talk
See
about
our previously published work.
yeah, I can, all these same people that are like, I'm an empath. I can feel when other people are feeling, and I'm like sharing in that. Those are the same people that are like, well, Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. Like that's their answer to that. That's cool. So anyways, I'm sorry that I have to rant about this. It's just, I want so bad for conservatives to just kind of, yeah, we know you hate us, and we're going to kick you out of our country. That's the moderate position. Like we're going to remove you because we already tried to remove ourselves, right? You wouldn't let that happen. So now we're going to remove you, and we're going to take that land. And
and to not be ashamed of it. Right now, there's a guy in English politics and British politics in the UK Parliament, Rupert Lowe, who started his own political party. And he's very active on Twitter. He gets a lot of pushback. And his primary response is, I don't care.
Yeah.
People will say, oh, well, you're this, you're that. I hate this about you. And he just responds, don't care.
Who was the guy, I want to say out of Florida, maybe he's a politician, congressman, I think. And somebody was like, what did you mean when you said, when you said that feminists are fat or something like that? Like he said that like on the House floor or something like, and
oh my word.
he was like, oh, because they are, right? And she's like, well, what if someone's offended by that? He said, be offended. And it was just like the craziest thing.
Awesome.
You're just like, what? Like, I can't believe you said that. But that should be the way that we talk to these people, because they're absurd. What you have to do, you have to put yourself in the shoes of like even an 18th century guy, and just say like, what would he say? Even like Thomas Jefferson, right? Like people try to paint guys like Thomas Jefferson. Oh, he's like the most liberal guy. He's like the father of American liberalism and all this kind of stuff. When, I mean, side note, he's the father of Southern political theory, for the record. But people will try to say, oh, he's the most liberal guy. If he saw just like the average Democrat voter, he'd be like, first of all, why is this woman voting? Second of all, why is she speaking in public? I'm just, this is the worst thing ever. And then if you just put yourself in that person's shoes, it's like the public speaking thing where they say, oh, just imagine everyone's in their underwear, right? What you have to do is just imagine that you are like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
People who are not.
If you think about it that way, if you put yourself in the suit of someone who is from 17 or early 1800s America, they come from a culture where it's understood that women should not be in the workplace, that women should not be voting, that women should not be running for office and ruling nations. And if you just speak that way in your common, conversations with people, if people are like, well, how could you believe that about women? And you just like, well, that's the way it is. I don't care what you have to say. Yeah.
I want to say one last thing before we get to comments, because there's somebody who's been saying some really interesting stuff in the comments. But in Europe, when I was talking about there's no middle ground, right? There is no coming across the aisle and kumbaya. Political parties that are vaguely right of center are being shut down. Like the people of the democracy are voting for these, like right at the ballot, they're voting for these people to come in. And then those who are already incumbent are like, no, that's a far right person. So we're going to actually just stop that vote and say, yeah, you won, but you're not allowed to vote for someone that far right.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, that's
cordon sanitaire, right?
Yeah. And so that's how there is no middle ground, because they've not allowed you to have your own ground. So how are you going to reach across the aisle if you don't even have proper footing yourself? You have no representation. That's another reason, kind of side note, that I think that America, at least the Congress, can benefit from a parliamentary system instead of what we have now. Because if you're that little minority party, right, if you can get 1% of the vote, then you can have your Thomas Massey, right? Like your one guy who's just like the one guy who represents a large group of Americans that think that way. But
a large minority,
one lone guy.
Even if it is a minority, a large noticeable minority.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's get into the comments. We've got OK for Christian says based. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Honky Kong says, "What's up, girls?" Do not appreciate it. Shut up. Go home. But in all seriousness, good to see you, Honky Kong. He says, the right just don't get it. The left is organized and patient. They are winning because they think voting is enough. It's not. Sadly, the right also defends communist propaganda as if it's their own. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's that the left thinks that voting is enough, but it's that they're doing the other things, right? They murder their political opponents. And the team that murders their enemies will always beat the team that sits back and cries.
This is what he's trying to say. It looks like
the right doesn't get it. The left is organized and patient. They're winning because the average patriot thinks voting is enough. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Conservatives, anytime we lose an election, they're always like, oh, well, vote harder, right? It's like the annual Cowboys fan, right? We'll get him next year.
Yeah.
Right. They treat it like it's a football game. As a matter of fact, they treat it less seriously than they treat a football game.
Yeah. I always tell it that when it's like 3-4 games into the season and the Cowboys fans are, because we live in, or I definitely live in Cowboys country, but
it's Cowboy country here too. Yeah.
And they'll start saying like, "Oh man, we're going all the way this year," and my reaction is always, "Oh, it's that time of year, is it?"
Right.
And they're just like, "It's that time of year every year, man. Every year we're going all the way." And I appreciated the person who actually came out and said like, "No, that's the mentality, man. Every year." Okay, man. Wow.
Yeah. But he says Robert Welch said all that back in 1961. Yeah, I mean, there have been people who have been able to see people who are prescient. Dabney. And I mean, Dabney said it all.
Dabney called today better than people called today back in like the 90s.
Yeah, I mean,
Dabney was way in the
Yeah, and then I mean, you've got people like Buchanan and Francis who were very prescient in their times, very very able to make those observations and say, okay, this is where we came from, this is where we're headed. And unfortunately, those people are few and far between. He says if they were serious, they would just go after Antifa like the Proud Boys did. Only with the law, right? Or maybe they mean like they went after the Proud Boys. I mean, you remember how the Proud Boys were taken down, sent to prison.
Dude, that was
insane. I mean, if we did that to Antifa, it would absolutely kneecap their movement. But we can't do that because that's anti-constitutional. Because a piece of paper, told me I can't. Meanwhile, your enemies are never stopped by a piece of paper. I can tell you from being a first-degree Proud Boy, we say, if it's a war you communists want, it's a war you will get. Okay. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not expecting to be saved by any Proud Boys anytime soon. But
rooting for you.
I'm glad that you're in an organization of like-minded people, though, and I'm glad you're actually trying to do something. I don't have a lot of hope for it, but do something, right? Don't just sit still. So, like Sean said, I'm rooting for you. But yeah, when you see the way that the Proud Boys was picked apart, their leader sent to prison, all of these things, and then Antifa declared a terrorist organization and nobody goes to jail. Nobody loses their job. Nobody even makes it into the paper. I don't know, man. It's just kind of depressing. And then he says, you guys are having a good conversation while Old Glory Club is live streaming video games, lol. Well, there's a time and a place. And especially if you're able to live stream video games while having conversations like this, there's a time and a place.
That's how was the Redeemed Zoomer? Is that that dork's name? Like that's how he got real big, was just live streaming video games. And unfortunately he has a fan base now. So yeah.
But many such cases. Salty says, hello friends. Hello. Glad to have you.
We got another comment real quick. It's doing the thing where the Twitter comments go to the top. Yeah.
Except for Salty's. Salty's was on the bottom for some reason, so I have no idea. Yeah. I don't think the system knows what it's doing.
Okay, but, for Christian says, congrats on the hockey win. I think normies are finally realizing the truth about the left white pill.
Yeah, and that is the white pill. The white pill is people are waking up. It's taking literal bystanders being murdered in the streets. It's taking the murder of Charlie Kirk. It's Trump getting shot in the ear. And it's Quentin Deranque being beaten to death in public. But people are starting to figure out that this is an existential fight. That this is an existential struggle. And if they can keep that in mind, maybe we can turn this ship around.
Yeah.
And then
he also says, video games are so meh. Yeah, I think when I was growing up, and you talk about video games, I'm talking about like the blue hedgehog going from left to right as fast as possible. Like that was a video game.
Yeah.
Right?
Sonic 2. Best video game ever.
Dude. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Best side scroller anyway.
Yeah. That's what I think of with like video games. Now it's like a whole bunch of I don't even know how to.
I think there's a whole lot more cinematics and drama going on in video games.
Yeah, everything. You know where you could find the story of what you were even doing in a video game back then? It would come with a little booklet that
you would have to
way
read.
More. Yeah, the drawings would have way more detail than the video game you're actually playing.
Yeah.
And it would tell you, oh, here's the story. This is why the credits look this way. This is why blah, blah, blah. Right? Now it's just everything's like, it's just too like cinematic in a way. I don't know how to.
Yeah, cinematic, daytime soaps. I mean, guys used to go to video games to get away from the daytime soaps. And now video games have turned into, daytime TV, soap opera drama, and all this girl drama. It's like, I really don't want that in my video games.
There's a one of my favorite video games of all time. I'm trying to even think of what the name of it. It's on the Atari. I want to say it's like
that's one of those ones that I don't think I've ever played.
Basically the idea of it was that you had like four corners, so you could either have the computer or like a friend, so it could be like a 4-player thing, and it was. Oh man, I gotta find the name of it. But it was basically like you would like throw the ball that was bouncing around, or you could like bounce it. So it was kind of like Pong, but also like Brick Breaker.
Okay. And
so like your little corner was like you couldn't let the ball get through your bricks. Like it was, I don't, man, what is that called? But it was just, I had a collection. I had like an Atari collection thing for one of the later systems. And I remember just playing that, and I was like, "This is brilliant! Like, this is what a video game is. Like, it's just a sport, but it's on the screen. Like, it's not some crazy story."
Every once in a while, people just they'll just hit gold, like Tetris. Tetris is a very simple game, but it really did strike gold. I mean, there's just something about it that really makes a lot of sense. But they can be a huge waste of time. They can be a good way to relax, but you've like all things that are not productive, which video games are not. Drinking alcohol, smoking cigars, playing video games, those are all hobbies that are non-productive, which means if you're going to do them, you need to be doing them with people so that you can actually be spending time with them. So when I do those things, I try to do them in that way. Nate Downey says, "Sup, dudes? Sup? Happy to see you." He says, "Restore Britain is normies waking up and have permission to hate foreigners." Restore is the name of the new political party that Rupert Lowe, the MP in the UK Parliament, that he started. And it's having record growth. That's actually what I was going to talk about before this whole Deranque thing went down. I just didn't know if it would be that interesting to people who are Americans. But let's see. Okay, for Christian says Dr. Mario 2. Yeah, there's a lot of people who got their start in video games. He says video game obsession has gotten on the same level as NFL obsession, can be neutral, but usually worse. And then he says, "Restore Canada, please." Yeah, I mean, we need people. We need people to start a party up there that's actually conservative as well, because the conservatives in Canada are doing the same thing as the conservatives in the UK. They're chasing the Indian vote. They're like, "Oh, well, we're going to, haha, you leftists, you thought you're going to win by importing foreigners? Well, we'll just make ourselves the party of foreigners and then we'll win." My guy, that's not winning. That's surrender. Okay. Honky Kong says, "That's fair. I didn't think of that. Good call. Live stream games and speak based things to nerds." Yeah, but it's like I was saying before, if you've got a hobby that's unproductive, try and do something productive while you're doing it. If you like listening to historical fiction, do it while doing a project. Listen to a book while doing a project or while you're driving or something like that, because multitasking is very good. Spend time with your kids while playing video games. Play games you can play with your kids. If you're going to smoke cigars with your bros. If you're going to drink alcohol, drink alcohol with your bros. Don't just sit at home drinking alcohol. All right, that is sad and a waste of time and opportunity, right? So if you're going to have hobbies that are non-productive, find ways to make them productive. Everything has a place, right? Like the Apostle Paul said, everything in its place.
Warlords. That's the name of the game.
Warlords. Well,
Warlords is a great game. I would absolutely, if we could find a way to play that online against, I would do that for a podcast episode.
Yeah, interesting. We'll try and see if maybe we can play that in the after show sometime. Because that'll be very fun. But anyhow, continuing on with the story of Quentin Deranque, and I don't know if it's Deranque or however exactly. I'm not a native French speaker, so monopolygatus. But he just to remind everybody, this is one of the photos going around of him, which looks very different from this one. But this is the face of the young man who was killed, and wanted to get into a little bit of something else here, because there's more going on than meets the eye. We hear about, he was attacked by Antifa, but what exactly does that mean, right? When we say Antifa, are we talking about like people who have a loose affiliation who say, yeah, I'm anti-fascist? Or is it like a social club? Do they have a membership role? Do they make their members pay dues? Do they provide car insurance? Like what exactly is Antifa? And what does it mean when we say they were attacked by Antifa? Well, there's a little bit more information here. This is from Visigrad 24. They say the mayor of Lyon cooperated with the Antifa group Jean Garde, which killed 23-year-old Quentin Deranque in front of a Lyon university last week. So Jean Garde is the name of this group, right? So they've got memberships, they've got people that they've got their names on paper, right? This is a real group. Under the left-wing mayor, Gregory Doucet, the Lyon City Council Hall closely worked with Jean Garde, and the deputy mayor for security, Mohamed Chihi, very French name there, Mohamed Chihi, confirmed the collaboration in 2022 as part of the city's, quote, anti-fascist strategy. It now looks as if the group was given access to the city's video surveillance to, quote, track right-wing groups, end quote. So there is this anti-fascist group in this town who are working hand in glove with the city council, have access to the city's cameras so that they can watch people and follow them. And they used those cameras to follow people and murder them. That's pretty disturbing. Here we have the Green Mayor of Lyon, Gregory Doucet, working hand in hand with the Antifas of Jean Garde, and to whom he has given access to the city's video surveillance camera network. Now, this is not just Twitter saying this. This is coming from news channels in France. Handing over the city's security to organizations classified as terrorists and individuals flagged as S-file. You really had to think of that one. So this is translated from the French. So not sure what Fichier S is, this S file, but I have a feeling it's some sort of terrorist or designation. But this is being reported on French news that these people to the surveillance cameras, citywide surveillance cameras, just handed over to this terrorist organization. And what did they do? They used those cameras to commit acts of terror. Shocking. Crazy. I can't believe it. Here is Lyon Mayor Gregory Doucet. For my part, I considered that any political exploitation of Quentin's death was downright indecent. So he's saying, if you're rallying because he was killed, then you're a bad person. At the same time, we learned his deputy for security at the city was openly admitting to regularly exchanging with the militia of the Jean Garde to fight against the far right in Lyon. Friends from Lyon on March 15th, please get rid of him. So they've got an election coming up. They're saying, hey, please vote this guy out. Getting back to what we were talking about before, conservatives always think that we can just vote our way out of this. And the thing is, at some point, something real has got to happen. But who was it? Who was it that got arrested? Well, it was actually the man who was arrested. And I'm trying to find it in my clips. I thought I had it, but you're just going to have to take my word for it, I'm afraid. But one of the men who was arrested was actually a deputy in the political offices of this LFI political party. So here is Eric Zemmour, who I'll go ahead and give him a follow. This is a right-wing French politician. He has been very active in fighting against the left in France. Good guy. But here he is talking about, let's turn it down and we'll put the French in the background because we can't understand it anyway. But he says LFI is complicit in the murder of Quentin. LFI is linked to La Jean Garde. LFI has endorsed its members, and one of them has even become a deputy. La Jean Garde has killed, and it was endorsed by Mélenchon. So, this is calling out Mélenchon. He needs to go. But one of the men who beat this man to death was a deputy in the office of these elected officials. So there's no doubt that this office is complicit, right? These people are complicit in the murder. if I mean, how does something like this happen? If the person who goes out and commits murder is on staff in your office, and you were giving him access to cameras so that he could track people, and he uses those cameras with the express intent, the reason we give you these cameras is so that you can fight against the far right. And then he uses those cameras to track down and murder someone in the streets. And then your activists, your Antifa activists, go out the next day and say, yeah, I support his murder. We're happy about this. I mean, what are we supposed to believe other than your political party per se, your political party wants to bring about the death of me and my people?
Yeah. So before I say this, I just want to note, like, fellas, if you're going to go for a big knot like that guy's going for, you need to learn how to do a half Windsor. Like, don't just do the little schoolboy knot and try to make that fat. That looks awful. But also, I think for a lot of us, when we talk about how we've grown or whatever since 2020, I think a big part of it is recognizing that actually, like, fascism itself, not what we call fascism, but like what actually is fascism, was essentially just right-wing thought. It was just nationalism. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And it was really normal. It was just a normal right-wing movement. And I think that the left has also realized that. And so when they see us just doing a normal right-wing movement, they are like, oh, well, that's fascism. That means we can kill these people, right? Because that's what we did during World War II. We just killed these right-wing people just for being right-wing. So we should be able to kill these ones as well. So it really it's a circular reasoning kind of thing. It feeds itself. It's a
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a self-perpetuating system.
Yeah, that's what it is. Self-perpetuating. It's just the acknowledgement that these people are right-wing, that fascism is just normal right-wing thought. And so, oh, well, we killed those guys, we should be able to kill these guys. And that's what they do. Well, why, that was awful. You killed Charlie Kirk. Yeah, but he was a fascist. So that makes me, I'm basically like Ted Williams because I went and killed a fascist. So, and everyone loves Ted Williams, right? If you're an American, come on. Unless you're a Yankees fan or something. But the other, where was I going with that too? I don't know. You can go on. I felt like I had something else to say, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, essentially the thing to realize is that at that time, getting back to what you were talking about, these political parties that were created in Europe at that time, they were centrist parties. Everybody talks about them like they were far right wing, but one of the reasons that they were so popular is because they were very centrist. They had some elements of left-wing governance, social housing and, aid programs, work programs. But also at the same time, I mean, at the same time that these social aspects were being utilized, they also had an understanding of who they were as a state. They were nationalistic. They were very religious. They were very pro-family. And these were right-wing elements. And the reason that they were able to sweep elections in all of the countries in which they were was because they had elements from both sides. They weren't extreme right. They weren't extreme left. They were really right down the middle. And that's not to say that that's the appropriate route to go. You don't need to seek the middle. You need to seek the truth. But the fact is that that's why they were popular. They were not necessarily right-wing parties. They were very much centrist parties. Fascism was a centrist concept in Italy. It was a centrist position in Germany. It was, hey, the communists, the extreme left wing, are fomenting revolutions. They're murdering people in the streets. They've taken over Russia. They murdered the royal family. They murdered 30 million Christians in Russia before the war. And, Christian Europe looked at that and said, well, we can't have that here. And the far right was falling apart because of infighting. And so you had a very centrist group, which was fascism, rise up in places like Italy, France, Germany, and Spain. And these parties had a lot of support because they were very centrist, very understandable. They were normal people who wanted normal things. And now, when we see people rising up and saying, hey, I think our country should be allowed to be free. Hey, I think it's okay to prohibit men from going into the women's bathroom. Hey, what actually is an American? You just got here. You eat cow poop and walk around barefoot. You're not an American. And when you hear those things, you say, oh, you're a fascist. Oh, you're a right-wing extremist. No, those are normal American centrist positions. This is not extremism.
Here's a kind of different take on that. Do you remember when what was his name? Gary. Was it Gary Johnson? What was the guy? What was the libertarian?
The libertarian governor of Colorado? Gary Johnson.
Yeah, that's Gary Johnson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Johnson would go on and he'd be like, oh, I'm a libertarian. They'd say, well, could you explain what that is? And he'd say, well, I'm socially or I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal. That was the big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would say.
Right,
so,
yeah.
And I remember Jay Leno on The Tonight Show, kind of showing my age. When I was a kid watching Jay Leno on The Tonight Show, he said one time, like, oh, I feel like I have friends on both sides of the aisle because, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal. So, I kind of get along with everyone. And so that's a common idea, right? That people will say that's kind of their center line thing. Well, I would say that movements like fascism are the exact opposite of both of those.
Right.
So you would be socially conservative and fiscally
liberal. Right.
And which I personally believe is the powerhouse, like civilization, like major civilizations are built on, where we have right-wing social values that we implement into society. We're all going to be same religion. We're all going to be the same people. We're not going to have minority kind of anything. We're all just going to be the same. But then at the same time, socially, we're helping the least of these because they are our people. That's powerful, dude. It feeds it's another self-perpetuating kind of thing. These are my people. I care about my people. Therefore, I help my people. That makes them better. That makes me better. That makes us better now. It's all very, it's super powerful. All that to say.
The bill does eventually come home. The history of Rome, once the Caesars take over, it is the society that you just expressed there, where it is very fiscally liberal, but very socially conservative. And the problem that they were constantly running into is that, who's going to pay for it? And that is the problem with those social programs.
Rome got away from the
being socially conservative. Yeah. That is when the problems started to come. Yeah.
When they started saying like, well, this group over here is also Romans. That was the beginning of the end right there. Yeah. Because then it was not exclusive to be Roman, right? It was just, well, we're all Romans at heart, right?
Like, well, everyone's a Roman. They just haven't got here yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But where I was going with this is, we talk about, I remember the explanation what people would have when we talk about the like simplicity of God, like divine simplicity. And we say, well, God doesn't change and all these kind of things. But I mean, clearly when you read the Bible, sometimes God is in a good mood. Sometimes he's in a bad mood, right? Like sometimes he kills entire civilizations of people. Sometimes he's very happy with entire civilizations of people. So you say, well, what's going on? And the answer that I've gotten, which I guess I hold to myself, is that God does not change. The people do different things, and the one consistent God is going to react differently to those different things that people are doing. So when they are evil, he's going to act as he would to an evil person. And when people are good, he acts as if he would act to a good person. I would say the same thing with conservative values. Conservatism as a broad right-wing kind of idea. Movements like Nazism in Germany were extreme only because the evil that they were facing was extreme. We talk about this all the time on this show. Weimar Germany was just, I mean, there's so many things about that supposed civilization at that time. They're just so wicked. I mean, essentially Epstein Island type stuff in the open, right? Like they were buying and selling children just like kind of on the open market. Outsiders from Germany selling, German children.
People with similar surnames to Epstein.
Right.
His cousins.
Yeah. They would do this one particular thing. Can I kind of give some details on a very vulgar thing that's going on in Weimar?
This is not a kid's show.
Yeah. They would insert themselves, their phallus, into a goose. That is how they would essentially into the throat of a goose. And then as they were about to reach their climax, they would slit its throat. And then that would like tighten the neck of the goose, like just crazy stuff like that. Doesn't that sound insane? But
geese have teeth. Like this is not sane behavior.
Weird stuff like that, dude. Like it was just, transgenderism, right? Yeah. That was the father of that movement was writing his books. Those are the books that they burned. I know that book burning is an extreme reaction. Well, it was an extreme thing that was going on. I mean, they're talking about, cutting little boys' manhood off and presenting them as women. That's very extreme.
And sexually abusing them as women also.
Yes. Yeah. So like, that's very extreme. So yeah, you had some extreme reactions to that. That doesn't mean that's like super far right conservatism or
yeah. I mean, we were talking about this on a previous show. We were talking about like blood eagles and, is that too extreme? Yeah. I mean, yeah, sometimes the reaction is extreme because the behavior that got us here was extreme.
Yeah.
Sometimes the extreme reaction is not an overreaction. Sometimes it's warranted.
Yeah. From your child's perspective, when they're acting crazy, they don't think they're acting crazy, but they're clearly acting crazy. You go and spank them. They think, oh, my world's ending. This is so extreme. But it's like, dude, you were acting crazy in a public setting. I had to pull you out of there. Like
you were screaming in Walmart, and all I did was give you a swat on the bum with my hand. And you thought that your world was ending, and everybody around us was thinking, man, that was kind of mild.
Yeah. You were shouting the N-word in church. Like you put me in a spot and I had to react. What do you want me to do about this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of my why these things aren't extreme. Or I'll give you a modern one version of it. Somalians, first of all, Somalians within our borders is insane. That is such an extremely crazy thing that is happening right now, that they're even here. The mass amount of them that are here that have organized in Minnesota.
Enough for them to even be a voting bloc. I mean, that's insanity right there.
So
first off, they shouldn't be here. Second off, they have their own voting bloc.
And they're committing the craziest fraud, taking your tax money
to the tune of billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. And so Donald Trump sent in a force, an equal force to what was going on. He, some of them got killed because they were trying to impede the arrest, detainment at least, of people who shouldn't be here, who have done real harm,
criminals,
who have stolen your tax money. Yeah, that's such a crazy offense. If a politician stole that much money, you'd lose. You'd be hang him in the public square, and leave their body out for a couple days so the crows can have their part. Like you would do crows eat body? I don't know. Vultures do though.
Yeah.
Do they do Will crows sit and pack it up?
Oh yeah. There's lots of European poems about knights on the field being eaten by crows.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I wasn't sure if it was just vultures. Anyways, we have vultures in my neighborhood in Texas. We have turkey vultures that I almost ran one over today. It was just in the middle of the road, just eating a possum. Anyways, that's the way you would act if it was a politician doing that, right?
Mm-hmm. And I would say you'd be justified in feeling that way. Mm-hmm.
Or, God forbid, what if it was a group of white men and they took billions of your tax dollars that you could have given to Israel? What if they did it? Like, you'd freak out. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you have these third world people. They set up these fake daycares and then just raked in money. It's so insane when there's heritage Americans who are struggling, right? Like I'm not even going the route of like, we got veterans on the streets, which is, but this is so much more worse than that, because it's not even like that extreme. It's just the everyday American is struggling, not doing great. Like I'm not like crushing it, right? I'm working extra hard. I ain't doing the drugs. That was the big thing in elementary school, right? Oh, dude, you're gonna crush it if you don't do drugs and you go to college and you don't have a child before 30, or you know what I mean? Like it was like this crazy.
Yeah, this is the statistics of how to not be poor.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, go to college, don't have a kid before 30.
Yeah. And yet, here we are, just, getting by, working hard to get by. But, I mean, it's just, so that's the reaction that a normal, moral person would have. It's funny. I was thinking about this week. We always talk about, like, well, what about my children? Right, like when it's like a voting issue, right? You and I might say like, well, my children deserve to have an America, whatever. Well, we're the children of somebody who's an American, right? But we never think of it ourselves. Like you're only worth protecting until you're 18, and then you just retroactively. Well, that person was always an adult, kind of thing. But I'm just saying, like, what about these people who were having kids in the 80s and the 90s? What about those people's kids? Why doesn't anyone care what happens with their futures? Why can't they have a nation to inherit? So we always think, I just say that to say, we always think of the future, and that's great to think of the future. But I mean, right here and now, like, heritage Americans deserve better. And so when Donald Trump is doing what he can he could probably do more, but he's sending in men with guns to remove people who shouldn't be here. I don't feel sorry for those people that he's removing. And I damn sure don't feel sorry for the people who are trying to insert themselves in between the good guys with guns and the people who shouldn't be here, because I just don't care. It's my boot.
Yeah, it's my boot. It's my boot, nigga.
Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar, when they were sending in ice into Minnesota and people, oh, look at all these conservatives being bootlickers. Somebody had come up and said, "It's my boot." like I can lick my own boot. I like my boots. They're doing something I want them to do.
Yeah. This is not bootlicking behavior. Bootlicking is when somebody's stepping on you and you are saying, "Yes, harder, daddy." This is very different. This is somebody who is fighting for me, fighting for my children, and I'm showing my appreciation, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Talking about the fall of Rome and how it was bringing in foreigners. I mean, it's crazy how the parallel is there, where we're bringing in all of these people, and we're just saying, "Oh yeah, you're an American. You can be an American because you got here." Right? Or like they did in Rome. And I mean, I have less of a problem with this, but it's still not legitimate, not fully legitimate. Oh, well, if you served in the military, if you fought for our country, then you can be an American. And that's what they were doing in Rome, right? They were like, well, if you enlist, if you get in our army, if you go off and fight in Gaul, or if you go out and fight the Thracians, if you go out and you fight for Rome, then after a while, you can be considered a Roman. And the problem is, inevitably, it led to the collapse of Rome. And we can see it through time and history. But this week, I learned a little bit of trivia, which is, have you ever heard, Sean, when somebody says the movers and shakers, right? Like we're talking about our local political party, right? You might say the movers and shakers in the county Republican Party, X, Y, and Z. Do you have any idea who movers and shakers are?
Where that originated from?
Mm-hmm.
No, I first heard it in high school. I had a teacher that would always talk about being the movers and shakers, and he read a lot of sales stuff. So
right. So a mover and shaker is somebody who initiates things, influences people, somebody who's got a lot of power, right? He's the person who does things, right? But I always thought that that's what it meant. But evidently originates from a poem in 1847 or 1874, where it was talking about the movers and shakers of the world. But it initially referred to the two, this may be apocryphal, it's debated, but movers and shakers also could have initially referred to the two ideas for how Rome fell. You had the movers, which were talking about the moving of displaced people all throughout Europe around the time of Rome, that it was the movement of peoples that brought about the fall of Rome. And you have the shakers who say, actually, Rome was already shaking, and the movement was just a symptom of a deeper problem. Right? So movers believed that Rome was brought down by demographic change. Shakers believed that the demographic change was brought about by previous corruption. And I heard this explanation, and I thought, man, that is just so apropos of America today. We've got these huge demographics, unprecedented in the history of the world, unprecedented demographic movements of people. And, but we also have these corruptions like the Epstein files, things like this that are going on. And that seemingly, to me, I'm going to put my feet firmly in the spot of the shaker here. These people who are in the Epstein files are the same people who are bringing about the demographic movement. So it's not the demographic movement itself, but it's the people who are already shaking things, that the foundations are already shaking, that are bringing it about. So anyway, like I said, might be a bit apocryphal. It's debated, but movers and shakers, that could be where that comes from. All right. Any last things to say before we get into comments?
No, let's just do comments.
All right. Honky Kong says, try not to let this I'm going to let this be my last comment, so I'm not the only one talking. I work out lower body and jog in place while multiplier COD 3 and playing Skyrim to keep something productive going on. Well, I mean, you're being more fit than most people. So, I mean, if you're jogging in place and you're doing, squats and stuff like that while playing video games, if those were things you would not be doing had you not been playing video games, then that is productive. Yeah. Yellow Moth, libertarian means heroin for kids. Yeah, do you remember, man, I wish I could remember the guy's name. I'm awful with names, but I remember his face. But his name was something like Paul Smith, right? He was kind of a conservative libertarian guy. And when Obama was in office, he was running for the Libertarian Party nomination for president. And he got up on stage, and they're having this debate, and they've got like 5 candidates, the most that have ever run for the Libertarian presidential position. This is the one that Gary Johnson ended up winning. And he's like, the moderator asks, what is your position on drugs? And in his, 1-minute answer, he essentially says, well, I'm for recreational marijuana. I believe that recreational drugs are okay. People need to have their own health decisions, be their own decisions. But, we shouldn't be selling heroin to kids. And the crowd booed him.
He got booed, yeah.
He got booed for saying we shouldn't let them sell heroin to kids. And they booed him from the crowd. It's like, well, folks, behold, these are libertarians.
Yellow Moth says that's Dave Smith.
Dave Smith. Good guy. But I think the Libertarian Party was not his home. Mm-hmm. So, crows eat everything. Yeah, that's right. I mean, they are scavengers.
I thought that was right. I just wanted to make sure that was right.
Yeah, he says, so we're the removers and unshakers. Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe
I guess the opposite of a shaker would just be someone who tries to keep things firm and unmoving.
Yeah,
foundation.
And that is what we should seek to be in our daily lives, in our local communities, is we should be seeking to be the rock that people can rely on. Sometimes it's annoying being the guy that everybody calls for help. And they do all seem to call at the same time. But, there was a firefighter one time talking about how he was complaining to his boss about all of the kind of chicken scratch calls that they would get, right? They're just nothing. Somebody would call the fire department. They'd show up, lights and sirens, walk in the front door, and so it'd be like, my cat is stuck in the attic, right? And they're just like, man, he's a young man. He's like, man, why are we wasting our time here? What is going on? Why are we like this? And his boss said to him one time, that's not the attitude you should have, because when people call us, when these people call us with these problems, it's because they have no one else to call. They've run out of options. They don't know how to fix the problem. And we're the only person they know that they can call who will show up and help them. And you should seek, you listener, and I encourage you to be this, you should seek to be that person in their life. That if their life is falling apart, they know that they can call you and you'll be there for them. Whether that's just listening to them tell you how their life is falling apart, whether that's you giving them dating advice or helping them fix their broken car so they can get back to work on Monday morning. If you can be the person that people rely on, that is how you build community. And give with no expectation of receiving. Freely you have received, freely give. And you need to be, as Yellow Moth puts it here, you need to be the removers and the foundationalists. You need to be building a foundation for future generations, right? That's the whole point of this show, is to encourage you to be that person who builds. Like the picture in the background of this what we're talking about right now. This background that we see. It's, Nehemiah built a wall. And the purpose of this picture is to say, what are you building? Here's the wall. Here is a castle that somebody built, a thing of beauty, of undeniable beauty, but a thing of defense. This thing was created for the intention of keeping people alive. And it did that for hundreds or thousands of years. And you today have a job to build something, to do something productive. And God wants you, God put you where you are right now to do something productive, to build something for future generations that's going to last a lifetime. And it may seem small, and it may in fact be small. But what God has for you, no matter how small it is great. So don't give up. Be proud of who you are. Be glad to be what you are. And live your life to the best so that you can live for the glory of God, your creator, so that he can look at you and say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Getting back to the subject of this show, Quentin Deranque was a man. He was a young man with a bright life ahead of him. And he was doing something good. He was protecting women who are being harassed by foreigners and violent agitators. He was doing something good and he was killed for it. He is a Christian martyr. He stands before the throne of God in a white robe because he died protecting his people, fighting for God's truth. And that is something that we should all aspire to do. Not to die, but to fight and be willing to die for those things that we believe. Well, with that being said, folks, it has been an hour and 48 minutes as we speak. But there is an after show. If you are one of our brother supporters, it is the monthly after show. We will see you there if you are a brother supporter through the Buy Me a Coffee page. That link is in the Telegram chat. Go there and find it now, and we will see you there. But if not, thank you for staying along. We appreciate you. I know this has been a somber episode. Not quite as many laughs, not as much fun stuff, but very serious things that needed to be talked about. And glad that we had you along for the ride. We'll see you next week with some hopefully new aesthetics, some updated stuff, and hopefully some more news about some of the projects that we hope to be getting done this year. But with that said, folks, we hope that you have a wonderful night and go to bed. Get some rest. Tomorrow is a day that God has prepared for you to do good works in. So with that, farewell. Good night.